those elders from across the Hmong community who have been so central in building and sustaining your community here in Victoria and indeed across Australia for 50 years since 1975. Can I particularly acknowledge Xyoo, the CEO of the Hmong Australia Festival, Yeng Vang, the CFO of this festival, and Dr. Pao Seiko, the PR director of the festival, for the work that you have put in to make this such a special event here in Bulla. I think it's good to acknowledge. Thank you. And I'd also, in acknowledging that today is a cause of great celebration of the impact that the Hmong communities had here in Victoria and across Australia, I also note that it's a time of profound sadness for our country as a whole, as we mourn those who lost their lives last Sunday in Sydney, who were in many respects just like this community is, gathering together to express their faith, to express their cultural identity, and in doing so they were killed for that. That is something we must recall as a country and recommit ourselves to combating the scourge of anti-Semitism and hatred of any community, regardless of faith or cultural background. And so it's a poignant moment today with you, seeing your proud celebration of Hmong community, culture and traditions. But I do so tempered with that sense of grief and loss for the fact that as a country, not everybody is feeling safe at the moment. So I don't want to dampen the mood, I do want to acknowledge that profound tragedy that's taking place. I'd like to also really acknowledge the contribution that the Hmong communities made in Victoria and across Australia since 1975. This is a very important year as we come to the end of this 2025 year for many people in our community. Viv, of course, proudly represents that Vietnamese tradition in our community. 50 years of the presence of the Vietnamese community in Australia is something that I've had the joy of celebrating in many events this year. But I also know that the end of the war in Vietnam didn't just mean the end of conflict. It had a lasting legacy for so many communities across not just Vietnam, in fact, but Laos and other countries in Southeast Asia. And it was that conflict and the impact that it had upon your community in Laos and elsewhere in Southeast Asia, and the persecution that your communities experienced that prompted your journey to Australia. So you know very well what it is like to come to Australia seeking peace and security and a place to call home and to express yourselves as Hmong people, which again is why what happened last Sunday in Sydney is so tragic for us all. But in that 50 years, as someone who grew up in Hobart, I knew and saw the Hmong families who were working in agriculture and professions in different areas of our community, who were very visible presences at Salamanca Market every Saturday. And from those small beginnings, the families who were represented on the boards of the exhibition there, from those small beginnings of a few families here in the Colombo clan who sponsored others to come, we now have a proud and vibrant and strong Hmong community, not just in Victoria, but up and down the coast of the east coast of Australia, in Tasmania, across the country. And so that's what we're celebrating today. The impact and the contribution of those original families and everybody who has come to Australia to build a new life since. But in doing so, not leaving behind those traditions and languages and culture which is so integral to Hmong people in Laos, in Vietnam and elsewhere. And it is truly, thank you, Viv, a cause for celebration, because out of conflict and persecution and oppression has come something truly remarkable that we're celebrating today. And I thank the organisers of the exhibition for ensuring that those who may not know the story of Hmong in Australia can come to understand that more fully, to understand where the Hmong have come from and the context of the conflict and the trauma in which families met, but also the impact that so many people have had across academia, professional life, the commercial sectors, here in Melbourne, but also across Australia. So that's what we're celebrating today. And on behalf of the Victorian Government and Minister Stitt, it's an immense pleasure to be with you to celebrate the impact that so many people have had across 50 years. It is a half century well worth celebrating, and I thank all the organisers for putting on the festival today. And I hope that you can gather together as family to celebrate the achievements of so many. Thank you for inviting me. On behalf of Minister Stitt and the Victorian Government, it's a real joy and pleasure to be with you. I wish I wish the Hmong community a very happy festival today, but also a wonderful Christmas, a happy New Year, and a special time with your families at this festive season. So thank you very much indeed.
我想到了，因为呢，我是来大部分的老了，我的。